Hello, I'm Jon Budington, Chief Storyteller here at Mythos, and joining me today is Andrea Meyer. Andrea is joining us for our first Mythos Stories, a podcast about storytelling, advancement, and stewardship in the greater Mythos community. So I just want to start by thanking Andrea and saying, how long has it been since we've known each other? It's been a long time.
Oh, thanks, John. I appreciate you having me here today. I think it's been about 7 years now. We're going into our 6th year of actual reporting. It took us, a little bit planning and to get there.
It's funny, Rob and I often joke that all of our clients tell us we are having the hardest time, but stick with us and stick with us. But I do recall at University of Rochester, very typically, it was quite a few demos before we got to the point of actually working at Mythos.
Quite a few. And, can't thank you enough for your patience during that phase. We went through a change of, the folks that had first started investigating Mythos to not being here anymore and moving positions to changes in leadership. And it took us a while to get really serious about it. And then, the more people that came and became involved, they wanted to see a demo. And you were always so, accommodating to do another one yet.
Well, we're grateful. You've been one of our founding clients at Mythos and have made the product what it is today. So I have to ask, how did you wake up one day and decide this is what you were going to be doing? You're going to be working in the donor impact reporting world.
I actually stumbled into it. I was going to school. I was working on my master's in criminal justice. I wanted to do juvenile probation. Needed to work. So I looked for a job at the University of Rochester. I had some fundraising experience, so my application kind of ended up in the advancement division. And I was lucky enough to be hired into the stewardship department. And I've been here for 15 years and just moved up and, as the reporting has grown.
And I have to say, University of Rochester, everyone we meet with on your team, in your department, everybody seems very happy. It seems like they come to work like excited about what they're doing every day. Is that true, or is that just something on the outside? It seems to me like everybody's highly engaged in this idea of donor reporting.
It is true. I'm very, very fortunate to have a phenomenal team. And I think the thing with us is every single one of us believe in the mission of the university, and we believe in what we do and the importance of stewarding our donors.
So at the University of Rochester, how does stewardship integrate into the greater advancement process? Like where do you guys all fit together? How does it work?
Yeah, we fall under the communications. Many years ago, we used to be in advancement services, and they did a reorg and moved us over to communications, which is a combination of marketing, communications, donor engagement, in our special events area. So I feel like, being under advancement services, you're seen as a service. We're now under communications. We're more seen as a partner. And we've worked really hard to get that, relationship as a partner out with our colleagues, our gift officers, our, the departments in the university.
So are you working directly with gift officers in your day-to-day?
I do. For a lot of different reasons. There's the reporting, there's the stewardees of funds, there's the funds themselves. I work with them for quite a variety of reasons.
Okay. So you've been there for, I'm not going to bring up how many years, but 15 years.
15 years. Yeah.
15 years. How has your role changed over that time? Is it evolving constantly? Was there a big changing event, or is it very similar to where you started out?
Yeah. No, oh gosh, no. It's changed. When I came on the reporting team, I had a role in that, and there was another person. But I grew a lot of different. I grew a few of I'll call them services that we offer within the reporting structure. We never did faculty letters before. I started that. We do a thing called media inserts, where we include information about funds found in, communication sources, media, the general media, in with the reports, and send them in real-time fashion to gift officers to share with their donors. We didn't have that. So I started those programs, grew them, and they've just continued to grow. And now This year, I'm looking at doing close to 2,500 reports this year. Back in 2010, we did 780.
Wow,
So, yeah.
it's a lot of growth.
Yes.
Congratulations. So, storytelling, kind of the focal
Yeah.
point of our conversations.
Yeah.
You guys are great storytellers. I mean,
Mhm.
I know you did a presentation on one of our user community meetings just about some of the great questions that you've developed that help extract some of these fantastic stories of your kind of recipients or faculty or researchers. So tell me about that. How does this work inside the University of Rochester? How important is it to your donors to be hearing these words?
Well, it's funny. When I first started, a lot of the reports that I saw, the recipient was listed as a name, and a name is okay, but people want to know something about that name. They want to know something about that person. What are they doing? Who are they? How has this fund impacted them? What impact have they had on the university using this fund? So we looked at that aspect and have really modeled questions after that. What can, you have to ask the good questions to get the good responses, right, John? This is a
Mhm.
storyteller. So modeling the questions to get those best answers and working with people and really, digging into what do we need from that faculty, from that student that the donor wants to hear based on that type of fund.
So, do you get a lot of feedback from donors about the stories that you are sharing with them? I mean, does tell me about
We
that.
do. Yeah, we do. This year we had a question about, was there anything you'd like to ask your donor? And it really connected some donors with students because it created a connection just from paper, right? How often do you expect to open a report and see your recipient communicating basically with you right there on the spot? And so it was interesting. We also hear from donors who don't get stories. So, we can't, we have challenges collecting information from departments. And of course, students are always, can be a challenge too. And we hear from donors when they don't hear. And it's not that they're expecting a thank you, right? That's not always what it's about. They want to know about that person. They want to know what they're involved with at the university and what they're doing. And it's really interesting to watch.
It was great. I remember you shared some of the questions that you guys are asking, and they really have gotten away from thank yous and showing gratitude.
Mhm.
But somehow it seems like the stories that come out of the University of Rochester end up demonstrating a lot of gratitude
They do.
and the impact that that giving is going to have.
They do.
So as you've kind of moved away from some of those questions, have you seen the stories change and evolve because they are beautiful stories?
They haven't. So we went from, please give your donor a thank you, a warm thank you, to, how does this scholarship have an impact on you? Is there anything else you'd like to tell your donor? And that's kind of organically gotten a thank you, gratitude from the student without, feeling like they're forced to do so or it's a canned response. And we get some really beautiful stories about the impact that, that funding has had for that student or that researcher or that fellow.
So the other interesting you just mentioned, and I think there's something here, but you're actually talking about allowing students to possibly get in contact with their donors or vice versa.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you have to be very careful and understand the burden of time on the student or on the donor. But has that been happening? Has that been working for you?
It has. So we asked the students if they're willing to share their email with the donor on the report. And if they say yes, then their email address prints on the report and the donor has an opportunity to email that student. And we've had several that's happened with. And we found out that some of them have kept in contact. And it's just, it's a nice opening because it's not, you know, reaching out to a donor and being like that cold call, hey, do you want to contact your student kind of thing? They can do it at their own pace. So, we know the student has said, okay, now the donor's reaching out and we feel good about it, feel really good about it.
That's great. That's a good story. I wonder if there's any appetite. This is something we've been kicking around here at Mythos, but to actually capture some of the donor stories, like their story
Mm,
about why they've gotten involved and why they've given, if that would ever work, kind of going backwards to help people,
yes.
inspire them to share their best stories back with their donors. Have you guys ever played around with that, or is that just not on the cards?
Well, funnily enough, we have a few funds where we're required to provide a background to the student. So it's something that we do manually every year as, these awards are made. Um, but, yes, we're looking into ways that we can use Mythos to do that a little bit more automatically for us. And, part of it is data, right? I mean, we already tell the students a little bit about their fund, the history of it, but that doesn't necessarily have a lot of donor background to it. So that's more, case of garnering more data to provide that. But yeah, it's great. It's great. We had a question this year too, where we said, is there anything you'd like to ask your donor? And a lot of the students, yeah, they had questions for their donors. Why did you come here? Why did you want to have this scholarship? And it was really interesting, really interesting. The students wanted to hear from the donors as much as the donors wanted to hear from the students. It's just, you got to connect them.
I was just going to say, I have strong pull on the roadmap committee here at Mythos. I think I can sense a collaboration here, that all of us coming up with a new feature, which we've done with you at the University of Rochester many times before.
Yeah.
So donors, are you seeing a change? Is like how you communicate with them, what their expectations are? Has that been evolving lately? I just wonder what that looks like.
Yeah. They always expect more and more. I mean, as we move from the name only to just, okay, he's a researcher, to, well, what is he researching? And the top of our reports have a picture on them, and that picture applies to the area of the fund. And every year I go through, we started off, I think the first year I had probably maybe 25, 28 photos. And people have now looked at these reports as being their personal report, that I think this year we're probably going to be up to close to 80 different photos.
Wow.
Because we get, my fund is not a trombone, it's a piano. I want to see a piano picture. I know this doctor is not in my department. Why is he in my picture? So it's kind of cool. It really is, because they're taking them personal. Like that's their report, that's their fund, and that we are sending a report just for them, And so they're taking these pictures to heart, and I think it's kind of cool. It's a lot of work, but I think it's kind of cool.
It is a lot of work. We know that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why we got in the business in the first place. So interesting. You have done some work moving some of your donors online, and
yep.
has that opened up any thoughts in your mind about what we should be building next? Like, what is the next donor engagement kind of idea look like?
Oh my gosh, it's moving everybody online.
Yes.
We have donors who just are not going to give up the print. And we know that. We increased our pilot this year. We had piloted for 2 years with about 125 folks. That was before Mythos was really an option for us. So this year we used the full-fledged Mythos, sending the reports. And it's been phenomenal, because we can see who's looking and who's not. We can see how long they're spending on the reports. We can see where we were going to want to, devote our energies to in the future, as opposed to not. So it's just, I can't wait till we're going to start rolling out more this year. And I can't wait.
We've been really excited to work with our clients on, everybody wants a dashboard, but not everybody knows what gauges they want in the dashboard. So kind of trying to find different ways we're measuring engagement. And it's been great to have the feedback of the community helping us kind of design this out. You guys being very good at that yourselves. So what do you think? What do you think's next for us? What's the big idea?
That's a really good question. I mean, it's doing so much now. I would love, like, for me, because I do so many photos, I would love to have my own photo library in there, right? I would love to be able to cross over between campaigns. For those, for example, I have some donors that, they're connected to a fund, but I want it mailed and I want it electronic, And so it's more things like workflow things for me, I guess. The product itself, I don't know what I would ask for at this point. We're going to get into more videos this year, so that's going to be really interesting for us. We haven't done the videos on the site yet, so.
Well, I was going to say, everything you've mentioned, I think we've either got it prototyped, roadmapped, or something that we've been kicking around, because that I think what's been interesting for us and with our clients is that, we've always been storytelling, but we've always been workflow in addition to that.
Mm-hmm.
And workflow around storytelling was very much in print. And as we start to move online, there's just a lot of creativity where there's a lot of unknowns. And I think it's just been interesting, even for our developers, to be thinking about new and different ways, but obviously with the feedback from our clients.
Yeah.
Well, Andrea, this was great. I love connecting with you and kind of learning how you're using the product and what you're doing, and obviously like seeing each other in person as well. But I just want to say thanks. This is our inaugural kickoff conversation, and I thought it was fantastic. And I hope we'll see you here again at some point.
And I want to thank you too, Jon, you and your team for all that you do for us. You talk about the presentation, but it's that workflow is a huge thing for the industry too. We've got great product out to the donors, but it takes the person power behind the scenes to get it done. And you really help with that. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Couldn't do it without you, literally. All right. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.